We all know that the key to physical and mental health is exercise, yet there is a phenomenon within the African American community that keeps women from working out. It's their hair. Now, before you scoff and say that's silly, take into account the economic, social, cultural, and corporate concerns surrounding black hair. But there are solutions that allow African American women to choose their hair and their health instead of their hair or their health. Plus, we'll share some reflections on the life and legacy of Nelson Mandela. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. Stay tuned. Another View is next, right after this news from NPR.
Discussing today's topics from an African American perspective, this is Another View.
We understand it still that there is no easy road to freedom. We know it well that none of us acting alone can achieve success. We must therefore act together as a united people for national reconciliation, for nation building, for the birth of a new world. Let there be justice for all. Let there be peace for all.
The words of South Africa's first black president and world peacemaker Nelson Mandela on the day of his inauguration, May 10th, 1994. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. Mandela transitioned from this life last evening. He was 95 years old. His legacy of peace shall remain. As you know, Mr. Mandela spent 27 years in prison after being convicted of treason by the white South African minority, yet negotiated with his captors and forged a peaceful end to apartheid. He created a democracy, voting for the first time when he was 75 years old. In 2014, South Africa will celebrate 20 years of democracy. South Africans now call their country a rainbow nation. Another View's Lisa Godley recently sat down with Eric Miller, a South African photographer who has chronicled the racial justice leader ever since his release from prison. He has thousands of photographs of Mandela and lots of stories to share about Mandela's humanity.
There were a lot of instances where his humanity, his compassion, his humanness in relating to people just as people and not as titles or objects was apparent. I recounted one story to you which was very illustrative of that. He would often take, as I mentioned, visitors out from his office to a fence near his office and introduce them to people who were standing on the public, members of the public on the other side of the fence. And in the process of him leading them to that fence, the media, the photographers and TV crews would often be photographing that walk from his office along the path to the fence. In the middle of that path, there was a big pond and a fountain. And we all knew it was there, and we all took it into account. And when we got there, we would all walk around it. So on one occasion, when the media, this group of media, we were photographing him and backing up while we were photographing him as he and his group were walking towards us, one of the photographers forgot about the fountain in the middle, and he stumbled and tripped into it. And the natural reaction of many of the people there, including people in Mandela's delegation and our group of photographers and TV crew, giggled or laughed or just stood there and watched in surprise. And only one person stepped forward and put out his hand and helped the man out of the pond, and that was Mandela. And it was an incredibly powerful act, which in effect embarrassed many of us because we hadn't thought to do that as immediately as he had.
Next week during our roundtable, we will talk about Nelson Mandela and his legacy, and Lisa will have the full story of Eric Miller and his reflections of Mandela, all in observation of the 10 days of mourning of his death. We here at Another View extend our condolences to the Mandela family and to everyone who believes as he did in racial harmony and peace. As President Obama said, he no longer belongs to us. He now belongs to the ages. news. And a program note: as the world responds to Nelson Mandela's passing, WHRV-FM will preempt our Season of Giving campaign to air Frontline, The Long Walk of Nelson Mandela, tonight at 9:30. Frontline tells the intimate and surprising story of a Mandela few people knew, a bomb-throwing revolutionary who became a skilled politician in prison and a passionate man who sacrificed the love of his life for a country that needed him more. The Long Walk of Nelson Mandela airs tonight at 9:30 only on WHRV 15. And now we're going to switch gears. How about that? And go to today's topic, which is your hair or your health. Now, a few weeks ago, I asked this question. I went to a girls' night out wine tasting, and I asked this question: how many of you in the room do not work out because of your hair? And the conversation flowed from there. These were professional African-American women, some with natural hair, some with chemically straightened hair, or permed as we call it, but all agreed that working out and maintaining black hair is a challenge, but one that can be overcome. And there's no reason for a woman to have to choose between her hair or her health. Joining me to talk about this is Tiffani Bryant, a yoga instructor who says she's, quote, had her fair share of exercise-related hair issues. Hi, Tiffani.
Hi.
Glad to have you with us today. Billy Parker, a stylist who works with both natural and permed hair. Hi, Billy. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And joining us by phone is satellite radio talk show host and wellness educator Shawna Renee, host of Cocoa Mode with Shawna Renee, a show that celebrates African-American women and promotes healthy physical, mental, and emotional lifestyle choices. How you doing, Shawna?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So, this phenomenon of women not working out because of their hair. Tiffani, do you have people in your classes who say, you know what, if I didn't have my hair natural or if I really didn't have to go somewhere else, I wouldn't be doing this?
No, not so much. By the time they get to my class, they've committed to working out, whether that's hair in a ponytail or hair in a headscarf or many of the different things that we use to cope. But they have made the decision that...
Now, you exercise every day, and you said that you've had your share of hair issues. So tell us, for people who really don't understand, what kind of an issue have you had with your hair and working out?
Styles. Either it's a ponytail and I've made that decision for the day because I'm working out, or it's, well, I don't want to work out before I go to this event because I want my hair to look a certain way. It's a balance between how can I have something that I feel attractive in, and then something that's also functional for when I'm sweating or moving in that way.
Mm-hmm. So you really have to decide on a day-to-day basis where you're going to be, what you need to wear, what you need, how you need to look.
To a certain extent. There are some styles that you can choose that you feel comfortable in but don't take a lot of manipulation from you, and I feel that's mainly what I do, styles that are flat twist or maybe braid, something that I find pretty, but that doesn't take a lot of styling or fuss for me on the day-to-day.
Shawna, the whole idea of women going natural so that they can work out. I mean, I think that on the one hand, there are many more women who realize the critical importance of working out, and maybe they're changing the way they care for their hair so that they can incorporate this into their lifestyle.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I'm natural, and I wear my hair in a big curly fro, and I work out every day as well, and I do, intense cardio training, circuit training, as well as yoga. It's a decision that you have to make. I'm probably on the other side of the fence on this issue. I don't think hair is really the issue. Okay. I think hair is an excuse. And I don't mean to sound negative, but I think really what it comes down to is whether or not you're going to make the choice to work out and all of the decisions that go along with that. Just like I decide to get up at 5:45 in the morning so that I have time to work out, I need to decide that I'm going to have a hairstyle or a schedule that will allow me to do it. So natural hair is not necessarily easier unless you have a shortcut, like a little fro or something. I mean, I spend probably just as much time on my hair as I did when I had it relaxed, which I had it relaxed for many, many years.
Well,
So,
Billy, but people say, and I've heard other professional women say, only recently has it become acceptable, I guess, to have your hair in more natural styles within the corporate America. And that there are a lot of women, particularly in my age range, and maybe a little older, who don't feel comfortable unless their hair is permed, unless it looks a certain way. Have you noticed a change in your clientele and what they're doing?
Yes, very much so. There's a big rush now for the natural hair. But I'm being a stylist, I have come to understand that exercising, it has nothing to do with hair. Again, it has to do with a choice that you make. You're going to exercise, take care of your hair. If you, even with whether it's natural or whether it's relaxed, you still have to take care of it. So you just got to prioritize. I have a client she's actually been offered several times to be a personal trainer. She's also been asked by the people that at the gym if she would go into bodybuilding because she's that serious and her body looks that great. If she walked through the door, you would not believe her age. But what she does is now this is a client that has not given up her relaxer. All right. She still gets her hair relaxed, but what she does nothing to herself. I'm the only one that does anything to her hair. She comes in every week. She gets it shampooed. If she's going somewhere, just as Tiffani said, if she's going somewhere particular, she gets her hair styled, but she won't go to exercise that day.
Because she knows that it has to stay in a certain way.
Exactly.
Let's clear some things up for people who may not understand. What happens when you sweat to black hair, Billy?
Well, to black, what happens is that the salts and the perspiration sits on the hair. And what the salts does is it dries the hair out. So it's really important that you shampoo and condition that hair to remove those salts. Which would be the same thing even with relaxed hair. It doesn't make a difference.
But traditionally, black people don't wash their hair every day. Isn't that correct?
Let me tell you this. I have a client that came in, and I have a client. All right. I've been doing her hair for many, many years, and she has come up with this thing that she says, my hair grows better if I don't shampoo it. So she'll go 1 week, 2 weeks, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. Come on, what are you doing? What are you?
Well, I wasn't going to go quite that far.
I agree with that.
Really?
Not up to 5 weeks, but it does feel like your hair is a little bit more. My hair, personally, I was natural for 2 years, trying it out. I saw beautiful natural hairstyles. Shawna Renee, your fro, that's what I dreamed of. But my hair did not do that.
So the texture of your hair was not the same that allowed it to be wear the way Shawna wears hers.
Beautiful fro for about 30 minutes, and then it would shrink and shrink and shrink. The salt from working out, it would shrink, it would dry up, and I couldn't comb it. But in that, when I was working with the natural styles, I found if I went about 2 to 3 weeks without washing it, my hair felt better. It didn't feel as dry, and it felt like it had more natural moisture.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to call to join our conversation. Ladies, I know you're out there because you've been talking to me about this all week long. So now we need to hear from you. Do you choose not to exercise because you're worried about your hair? Give us a call. Tell us why, and so we can convince you some ways that you can make that switch. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Shawna, your show is about changing your lifestyle and having a more healthy lifestyle. So what would you say to a woman who says to you, you know what, I don't care what you say, I'm not doing that because I paid $70, $80, $35 a week, whatever, to get my hair done, and I'm not going to lose it in the middle of the week?
You know what? I would tell them, I have a saying, sexy is as sexy does. Can we just be real here.
Let's be real.
Yes, let's be real. If you go to the gym every day and you work out and you are mindful about the things that you put in your mouth, you're eating clean, you're going to get yourself to the point where you look fabulous. Like was just said, you like the client that you had who has a wonderful, beautiful body, but perhaps wears her hair one way or another. It's not going to matter. If you look good, you look healthy, your body is shaped properly, your skin is glowing because you're eating right. No one's really going to care too much about your hair as long as it's neat and it's done and it's clean. So if you want to be overweight and you want to look stressed out, but you just want to have nice hair, then that's the decision that you make. But at the end of the day, the healthy, attractive, fit, glowing woman with the short crop is probably going to get way more attention than the unhealthy, overweight, obese woman with the fly hair. And so you have to make a decision. Again, I think the hair thing really is just another excuse.
So you think that's an excuse for not working out?
Absolutely it is. It absolutely is. I think it is, because you can make decisions. You can get braids. You can get a weave. There's so many things that Black women can do with their hair that will protect it while we work out. But we don't want to invest in that.
So what about the woman that says, you know what, I can't do my own hair? If I lose the style that you put in my hair in that chair, then I'm lost for the rest of the week. Well, what do you say to them?
Just like what she just said, there's many options. Buy falls, buy wigs, pull it back. I have a client that she just pulls hers back into a ponytail.
If it's long enough.
Yeah.
I can't pull mine back in the ponytail.
But you can buy gel it back.
Okay. Vicki joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Vicki. You're on the air.
Hi, thanks. Just, some comments. I mean, yes, we've heard this conversation 100 times, and I know for me personally, when I used to perm my hair, the biggest thing was the sweating. And I can't afford to go to the hairdresser every time I need to have a touch-up or a redo. So I do think hair is a reason that some Black women will not exercise. And yes, there are other options. But if you like your hair a certain kind of way, for those who like it perm, those who like the upsweeps and the curls and whatever else, excuse me, that's not going to last when you exercise. And if that's the style you like, then that's the style you like. And a weave or a wig is not going to be the answer. So I say, yes, I understand it's a matter of choice, but if my choice is to wear my hair a certain kind of way, then I have to pay the price, which means I don't exercise.
So, Vicki, you don't exercise. Is that right?
I wear my hair natural now, so it doesn't matter. I don't. Okay. I'm not as concerned. But when I used to perm my hair, it was an issue.
Shawna?
I mean, even making love, you can get into sweating, and it's like, so many guys, I hear them complain because it's like, oh, she don't want me to touch her hair. She doesn't want me to. It's all the same thing. It has to do with the hair. It's not because we don't want to be affectionate and physical, but if it's going to mess up the do that cost me, part of my salary, then I got to make a choice.
Wow, that's interesting. Shawna, you want to react?
Over here. Oh, my gosh.
Go ahead, Shawna.
Oh, my God. Let me tell you something. My hair will never, ever get in the way of making love or being healthy. The priorities are all totally, completely out of whack. You will live so much longer if you decide to be affectionate and to work out. I don't care how good your hair looks, it is not going to save you. It is not going to be the end-all, be-all to you. If your man is going to leave you because you won't let him touch you because you don't want to mess up your hair, then what is the hair for at the end of the day? No. I understand what she's saying, and she's right. And I'm just being, all of this in jest, but absolutely not. This is the problem that we have to get over as Black women. We have to prioritize things, really. We've got to get our priorities in order.
Billy, I see you shaking your head over there in the affirmative. You want to add to that conversation?
Yes, I agree. I exercise 3 to 4 times a week. Didn't always do it, but got tired of being stiff.
Do you worry about your hair?
Oh, of course I do. Of course I do. I go straight to the barbershop. But you just got to prioritize, and because there's many options when it comes to the black woman's head, and if wigs are not for you, go natural, and if you can't maintain and go and keep it trimmed, cut it down yourself. You can cut it all the way down short, buy your pair of clippers, stand in the mirror and do it yourself.
Now that I would be afraid of, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Charles joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Charles, you're in the air.
Hi.
Hi.
I have maybe a two-part question, and to maybe the first part will even suffice. Because my wife is one of those ladies that does not wash her hair, only let the beautician wash it, and that's every 2 weeks, sometimes 3 if she's going to get a perm. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And that's my first question: is that healthy? And the second part is now she's experiencing extreme hair thinness at the very top. Is not washing her hair frequently, is that maybe the cause of it?
Billy?
It does not have to be the cause of it. It could be just the natural process of aging. A woman's body goes through a lot of different changes. It could be just plain hormonal. Yes.
Stress.
Mm-hmm. Could be stress. Yes, exactly. So, no, it does not have to be that.
So the hair washing may not be the issue.
Exactly.
She may want to Tiffany get a checkup and also look at her diet and exercise,
and just
perhaps?
the things going on around her. But with the relaxed hair, I do think that you need to wash it more frequently than you can go when you wear it in a natural style. Mm-hmm. So that could be a part of it as well.
Okay. Thanks, Charles, for the call. We appreciate it. So what do you do Tiffany, when you decided to go natural? What was the decision making in your brain at that point? In other words, what was happening because you were not natural prior to that step?
I went from a relaxer
to natural, and now you're back to the relaxer.
Exactly.
Okay, so from an exercise perspective, why did you decide to go natural? What did you think it would do for you?
I thought it would make my hair stronger so that it could withstand the sweating and the ponytails, and just knowing how I treated it, because I was picking my physical health or the appearance of my body or just the joy of moving over a hairstyle. I do not think necessarily that it has to be an either or. I get where someone like the caller Ricky is coming from, where I used to love to swim. I stopped swimming when I wanted to wear a relaxer, because you can't swim every day and wear a relaxer. So that was a choice I made.
And tell people why you can't.
Well, because the chlorine is a chemical. And what the chlorine does, it zaps all the moisture out of the hair, and eventually you're going to have some problems.
Okay, so that interacts with the perm that's in your hair. Okay, so go ahead, Tiffany.
So it becomes a revisioning or finding the commonalities. How can I get some movement in and still wear a style that I like? Because it does not matter. I don't believe we work out for other people. I believe you work out to feel good in your skin. Mm-hmm. Whether your body is large or small, whether someone would view you as physically healthy or unhealthy, if you feel good and you know you are taking the right actions to be as healthy as you can be, I believe that's the priority.
Shawna, what made you switch from permed hair to natural hair?
Well, it's interesting. Many years ago, and I've had various natural styles. I wore locks for many, many years. Actually, that was my first natural style. Mm-hmm. Back then, I was in the kitchen, and I was working in Baltimore, your hometown, mm-hmm. and my boyfriend at the time said, your hair is way too straight for the things that come out of your mouth. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? And he's just like, you just seem like the kind of woman that would just kind of leave all of that behind and express and own her blackness. So I was young at the time, and I believed that. So I went ahead and got locks, and I held them for many, many years. And then I cut them off, and I wore a very short do. Then my hair started to grow. Then I permed it. Then I cut it off again, and I let it go natural. And I may perm it again. It mm-hmm. really just depends on where I am in my life and how I feel. But no matter what I do, I'm always going to move. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. My mm-hmm. hair will never prevent me from moving, from working out, from taking care of myself. Never.
Lionel joins us from Virginia Beach. Hi, Lionel. You're on the air. Hello, Lionel, are you there? Okay, apparently we have lost Lionel. Let's go to Kat in Smithfield. Hi, Kat, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi. I was
Hi.
just thinking, it just is interesting to me. I hear people saying that, I have to go and have somebody do my hair. And I just think it's sad that we would actually put ourselves in that position that someone else has to do your hair. That's like someone else has to cook for you. It's your hair. Why would a black woman not learn how to take care of her own hair? It's as though we see as though it's some kind of more powerful position that if other people have to take care of our hair, that elevates us in status or something.
Do you do your own hair, Kat?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you ever go to a professional stylist?
I do sometimes when I just don't want to have to deal with the relaxer thing. Yeah, it's just easier to go in and $60 let somebody do it. But I have a pool, I swim, I use wind, sometimes I blow dry it, sometimes I go a whole year without literally blow drying my hair. It makes it healthier. I just don't understand why we let ourselves be obsessed with our hair.
Mm-hmm. And so your hair has not stopped you from exercising?
No.
At all? Okay.
No, my hair is never going to stop me from doing anything.
Billy, do you subscribe to the fact that women should at some point see a professional in terms of their hair, or is it okay to just do your own hair?
No, most definitely. For number one, Kat, I'm so grateful that you do make the decision to go to a professional stylist sometimes, because that's how I make my living. So we need you to come to the beauty salon. But, even if you do no more than go to see a professional to get it trimmed, you need to. And trimming, that's something that's very difficult to do yourself. Mm-hmm. You need to go and get a professional trim every once in a while to take off the dead ends so that you can see how beautiful your hair actually is. And if you're trying to let it grow, so that you can see the growth on the hair. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you're not, because it's going to continually to break.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. If you're just joining us, we're talking about your hair or your health with yoga instructor Tiffani Bryant, stylist Billy Parker, and radio talk show host and wellness educator Shawna Renee, host of Cocoa Mode with Shawna Renee. So, Shawna, if somebody's just starting out, they're making a decision about exercise, what would you advise them to do? How do they decide what kind of exercise?
Well, the first thing I think they should do is go see a professional, go see a doctor. Make sure that everything is okay. Make sure that their blood pressure is where it needs to be. They don't have any heart problems. I always say that you have to be careful and you have to make sure that whatever your workout regimen is, it has been approved by your healthcare provider. But from that point, really get a sense of what your goals are. If you're just really wanting to be healthy, you're just concerned about cardiovascular health, you may decide, hey, I'm just going to go walking. I'm just going to take 30 minutes a day or 30 minutes every other day just to go walking, just to get moving. If you're really serious about losing weight, then you may want to think about circuit training or any other kind of thing, kickboxing. There's so many different things. If you are someone who needs to move just to manage stress, if the world has just gotten too much, I'm sure Tiffani will agree with this, yoga is a great way to move and get some movement. It may not lose a whole lot of weight, but, at least you'll be able to manage that stress and get some kind of movement, circulation going, flexibility, strength, that kind of thing. So, start there. Start with what your goals are, why you're starting, and then switch it up. There's so many different workouts and gyms and classes, and get a personal trainer, invest in that if you want to.
And have
go
fun
natural,
with it.
Take that money. Yeah,
and
take the money that you spent at the hairdresser and hire a trainer. Sorry, Billy, but sorry. But there's so many
Tiffani, let me
different
ask
things
you a
can
question
do.
too, though, because and this is my own lack of knowledge. I was surprised that people would worry about sweating with yoga. If you're not doing hot yoga, I could figure that out. But so yoga is a lot more intensive, I guess, than people think.
A milieu types of yoga out there. There's the more intense ones, more vigorous, where you build internal heat. There's the yoga in hot settings where it's external. And then there's the gentler practices that might be restorative or help you relax and renew. Although each yoga practice will kind of have a warm-up phase generally, a work phase, and a cool back down. So it all relieves stress. But it is possible to lose weight and any of your other fitness goals with yoga.
Okay, 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Sam calls us from Suffolk. Hi, Sam. You're on the air.
Hi. I just wanted to comment that as a white person, it is easy for us to kind of relate, at least the older ones of us. I'm nearing 50, and my mother in the 60s, 70s, probably even early 80s, that generation used to get their hair fixed once a week. And they had that helmet head thing, and we would go on vacation, and my mother couldn't get her head wet because she couldn't get her hair messed up. And, you know, it was just kind of bizarre, and that was before the workout craze. So women at that age didn't work out back then, so they didn't do anything like that. And then we've evolved. You know, we've evolved into the looser hairstyles and the more free looks. And of course, we're getting more healthy as a society. And obviously, African-American women are doing the same thing. You know, they've gone back from getting their hair style. I remember I had a girl in college, and she spent hours on her hair every week. And I thought, wow, that's, you know, it was so different for me. I learned then the differences between black hair and Caucasian hair. And it's a lot of work. You guys have a lot of work. But I take my hat off to you. But I think it's true what you're saying. It's all about your priorities and getting healthy. And, you know, the short dudes are just hot. I mean, you guys, that's the other thing. You guys have great skin. Black women have great skin. Show us your faces.
Okay, Sam, thanks so much for the call. Shawna, that goes back to what you were saying about feeling good, and the self-esteem also plays into this.
Absolutely. And, you know, I just wanted to say something, too. I go to a gym, and, you know, there are very few of us in that gym. And after I work out, I watch the white women, and they spend an hour on their hair as well. I think this idea that, like, the white girls just go to the gym, wash their hair, and walk out is false. I mean, they wash it, they condition it, they blow dry it. Some of them sit there with the flat irons, and they take a lot of time, too. But, again, they prioritize that. They know that if it's going to take them an hour to get themselves ready every morning, that they're going to get in the gym an hour early. They are committed to doing it. And the reason that they're committed to doing it goes back to the self-esteem. They know they're worth it. They know their value, and they don't have anyone in their ear telling them otherwise. And that's where we have to change as black women. We have to embrace health. We have to understand that it is our right, our birthright, to be healthy and to look good and to feel good for ourselves, yes, and then also for I happen to believe, you know, working out and looking good for your lover is just as important as for yourself. That we're all here together. Nobody's alone.
Absolutely.
You know?
Lisa joins us from Portsmouth. Hi, Lisa. You're on the air.
Hi. How are you?
Okay. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
My comment was when you mentioned, or there was a question posed, what happens to our hair when our hair gets wet? And no one said that it shrivels up. And that led me into thinking that, you know, when it comes to African American hair, kinks and coils, beauty is not associated with kinky hair and coily hair. And I'm just speaking across the board. Beauty is not associated with that. So when women, you know, say that they don't want to work out because their hair is going to become, you know, kinky, that's what we're talking about. That's the issue, is that beauty is not associated with kinky or nappy hair. And so we can't forget that fact that oftentimes black women choose not to work out because they want to be associated with beauty. And it makes me think, kind of, when you look at the stars, you know, in Hollywood that have features such as black women do, bigger lips or bigger behinds, you see how that is kind of praised and magnified. But when, you know, everyday black women have the same features, we don't see such a positive attention or light to that. And
So you're talking about coming down to embracing what happens to us naturally in terms of our hair, in terms of the texture of our hair, and understanding that is just as beautiful as wearing it in a perm style or whatever. Billy, let me ask you, your clientele, it's changed over the years, hasn't it, in terms
Very
of natural
much so.
versus permed?
Yes, my clientele is now probably close to almost 70% natural. Where before it was perm. And I could tell you, I was thinking about this coming to the studio today. I buy a whole lot less relaxer than I ever have. Yes.
For your shop?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, very much so. Yes.
So you're actually flat iron, not even flat, hot combing
I'm
people's
hot
hair
combing.
now? Wow.
And I love it. I love it. I love watching.
That throws back. That brings back memories sitting in the kitchen with the comb and the stove.
Yes.
And the fire.
That's what I do. I love watching the hair evolve. When you have a client that says, "I've never had any hair," and I said, "Well, just let me try this." And I start pressing that hair, conditioning that hair, and watch that hair grow. Mm-hmm. I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Shawna, what do you think about our other callers' point that we don't look at curls and kinkier hair as being beautiful?
She's absolutely right. And we have to change that. I mean, we don't see it as beautiful because we are following the trend. We are following what mainstream society is telling us is beautiful. And we have to rethink that, and we have to own it. Because let me tell you what else. Big, unhealthy bodies aren't considered beautiful by the mainstream either. So you're not going to win that. You're either going to have kinky hair and a great body and not be seen as beautiful, or beautiful long hair and a big body and not be seen as beautiful. So forget about what they think is beautiful.
And
It's like Tiffany said,
think.
what you think is beautiful, what the people that you love think is, when my son says to me, "Mommy, I think you're so pretty," that means more to me than anybody else. Anyone else saying that to me. I don't need anybody else to say anything to me, because he understands and he sees who I truly am. And that feels good when I look in the mirror and say, "Girl, woo, you look good today." Because we all should do that.
Absolutely. That positive reaffirmation. Right. Absolutely.
I walk out and I don't care.
Our phones are lit up. Leona joins us from Williamsburg. Hi, Leona. You're on the air.
Yes, hello. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I'm a Puerto Rican girl, and I grew up with mostly white friends, and my hair is really curly. And all of my childhood, I really wanted my hair to look like, the girls with the wings and, the hair blowing in the wind. And that really never happened for me. My mom had no idea what to do with my hair. Her hair was straight. And actually, in our community, or like within my family, it was just kind of like frowned upon that I had like this unmanageable hair. So it was always a struggle for me. And, when it was humid outside, it was awful because my hair would just puff up. But here lately in the last year, I was on YouTube and I started seeing all of these videos about going natural and, African-American girls' hair. And I thought, wow, my hair is probably closer to African-American hair, or just curly, And so I started using products, shampoos with no sulfate. I started using co-washes and doing scalp massages. And now I just absolutely love my hair. It's like this shiny, curly.
You embrace
natural.
the curl.
Oh my gosh. And it's so much easier. And I just, I touch it all the time, and it's not frizzing up anymore. It's curly and it's big and it's beautiful. And I just wanted to say that I think that when I see girls walking down the street now with natural hair, African-American girls especially, I ask them, is your hair natural? Have you gone natural? I feel like I'm part of a club. And I think that, celebrities should really, because so many young girls especially are, looking at magazines and watching videos, and I think that they should start embracing these styles more. And, everybody should just go natural. It's all beautiful. Straight, curly, whatever you have, just make the best of it.
Okay, Leona, thanks so much for your call. Shawna, you want to react?
she's right. It is a club. And I think when we see each other, we ought to acknowledge each other. We ought to support each other. When I see a sister walking with a big giant fro, or especially if I see a sister who I recognize as transitioning, I make a point to say, you know, I love your hair, or it looks good, or how's it going? Just to reaffirm that I see the what they're going through, and again, that I affirm what they're going through. And I've had many conversations in the grocery store with women who will come up to me and say, well, what do you do and what do you use? And we'll stand there and talk for 20, 30 minutes sometimes about it. Because it is important that we encourage each other to embrace what God made grow out of our heads.
Absolutely. Tiffany?
I think it comes down to embracing ourselves, because when you say it is a club, the natural club, it's the trend right now. It's healthy for us. But when there's a club, there are always people who don't fit in the club. And if that club isn't right for you, it comes down to, how do you feel your best? Your hair, how do you feel most beautiful? How can you manage it? How can you take care of its health, whether that's natural or some other style? The caller, she's embracing her curls because she now knows how to take care of them. She's found her products. She's found other people like her, and she's tried things. It's about finding what works for you so that you can be your best self.
Oh, okay. We just lost the call I was just about to go to. So let's go to Ben in Hampton. Hi, Ben. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon. First of all, thank you for having me.
Sure.
When I was in California, I'm a former Navy. Also, when I was in California, I was in the gym almost every day. And I noticed they used to have this warrant officer used to come in there, and she had a short haircut. It wasn't real short, say about maybe an inch or so, but she wore hair natural all the time. And when she worked out, I mean, all the guys would stop because, she was just that fit, just looked just that nice. And you knew she was married, and whoever she was married to must have been real hot because she had a nice vehicle. And that rock she had on her finger said something else, too. Okay, so...
But she wore her hair naturally? That's your point?
Yes, she wore her hair naturally, and she did work out. Okay?
And she did work out.
That's right. She was the envy of one of the envies of the gym because she's an older woman. She must be in her 50s because she had, speckled gray, black and speckled gray, and she was just awesome. That's all I can say.
It doesn't sound like you were doing too much working out.
Hey, I'm not going to lie. Hey, I'm a hardcore gym rat 3 hours a day all the time.
But he's making the point.
Yes, thank you, Ben. Go ahead, Shawna.
He's making the point that I made. He's making the point I was making earlier, which is, he noticed what her hair looked like, but the thing that made everyone stop and take notice was the fact that she looked good. She looked healthy. She had a good body. She was working out. She was taking care of herself. That's what people are attracted to. Those are the things that attract folks to you.
So why do you think that we focus so much on our hair? Sean, I'm going to start with you, and then I want to ask Tiffany.
There's so much history behind it. There's so much history behind our hair. And one of the callers said, because we live in a society where what we consider mainstream society has never believed or taught us that what we are as Black women is beautiful. That includes our hair. So we feel some kind of way about it. We want to look like the girls in the magazines. We want to look like the women on television, and we realize that we can't, but we'll do everything we can to get as close to it. So I think it really starts with that. It's just we're trying to achieve an aesthetic that is physically impossible. And whenever that is the case, you open yourself up to a myriad of problems and issues. And so I think that's where it is.
Tiffany?
That's where it starts.
It's on our face. Like, it's when you see yourself, when you see your reflection, it's a part of what you see. And then it's just how you feel about it. Like, does it move or does it not move? Does it communicate how you see yourself in a particular moment or where you want to be in the world? It's so directly connected, I think, to how we see ourselves when our reflection is reflected, but also in our mind's eye.
Billy, when I talked to a professional woman, she says, I'm sorry, I just don't feel right if my hair is not right. Is that a common thing you hear from your clients?
Most definitely. But what I tell clients, when clients ask me, they sit in my chair and I evaluate what I'm going to do. I'm thinking what I'm going to do. And they ask me, do what you want to do. I never do that.
Mm-hmm.
I allow that person to get involved. Tell me what you like. Tell me you like short, you like medium, you like shaved, you like have to, because it has to come from you. It's a part of who you are. You know, you like natural. No, I don't. I love doing hair, and it has to come from the individual because it signifies who you are, and it doesn't matter necessarily just what I think. It matters. The most important thought is what it means to you.
To you. I want to take this call from Ron, who's been calling us from Richmond. Hi, Ron. You're on the air.
I can barely hear your show. But definitely,
go ahead, Ron. You're on the air.
Yeah, I can barely hear your show, but definitely a prayer of mine is that the parents, the next generation of parents, will tell their children how beautiful they are, just to have some self-esteem, because I believe that black women are the most beautiful women on the planet, and I want to see them healthy.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for that call, Ron. We really appreciate that. So we've got about 2 minutes left. I want to get something from each of you that you want to share with a woman to encourage her to not worry about her hair, but to get healthy. And Shawna, I'm going to start with you.
I would just say feeling good is always more important than looking good. And as it happens, when you feel good, you actually look even better.
Okay, that is Shawna Renee. She is the host of Coco Mode with Shawna Renee. And Shawna, tell us where we can hear your show.
You can hear me on Sirius XM channel 110. It's called The Urban View, and I am on live every Sunday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern.
Okay, and thank you so much for joining us here on Another View. And Tiffani, what would you say?
I completely agree with Shawna, with the caveat that you can feel good and look good. It's about finding the in between those two, whether it's you don't work out at all, find gentler forms of exercise, maybe walking where you don't sweat as much. If you're already working out a lot, how do you feel pretty in the gym and out of the gym?
Okay, and that is Tiffani Bryant, who is a yoga instructor at Naval Station, Norfolk. Correct. Thank you so much for joining us. And Billy, you get the last word.
I agree with Shawna and with Tiffani. Do what makes you feel the best.
Okay, and Billy, tell us where your shop is and
I
where
am
they can
on
find you.
5020 Farrell Parkway in Virginia Beach.
In Virginia Beach. So everyone out there, think about it, get involved, and start exercising, and don't worry so much about your hair. And we will be right back.
I am Brother Cornell West, and when I'm in Hampton Roads, I make it a point to listen to Another View with my dear sister Barbara Ham Lee on WHRV-FM.
Brother Cornell West. I tell you, I just love that. A Norfolk-based program designed to identify the needs of homeless veterans is currently in its first 100 days of operation. The goal of Housing Our Heroes is to connect as many vets as possible with the resources they need before Memorial Day 2015. Our Lisa Godley recently sat down with some of the people joining forces to get our veterans into homes of their own.
I am a disabled veteran. I was unable to work. The income, the resources stopped. So at that time, I was left homeless.
Beverly Holmes is one of more than 100,000 veterans who've served our country only to return home to battle homelessness. She worked as a military police officer, and like the majority of homeless veterans, she also suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD.
It kept me being involuntarily displaced a lot. So when I came to the VA hospital, they put me in temporary shelters with my two grown sons at the time. And 8 months later, I received a voucher. And I've been living in a house for approximately almost 4 years.
Breaking the cycle of homelessness for veterans like Beverly is what the Housing Our Heroes program is all about. Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing, or NRHA, has joined forces with Hampton Veterans Affairs Medical Center and other service providers like the DAV to bring all the resources into one area. NRHA's Director of Client Services, Kim Thomas, explains.
So folks don't hunt around and try to figure out, where do I go for this, where do I go for that? one touch is all it takes. It's kind of like a no wrong door approach.
Up until now, that hasn't been the case. The Senior Vice Commander of Disabled American Veterans Chapter 4, Art Dubla, believes that by joining forces, the Housing Our Heroes program can help close what in the past has been a revolving door.
Our research shows about 70% of the homeless veterans suffer PTSD. When you combine that, the essential problem is, and what Kim has been dealing with for years and years, and all the other organizations in town is, you find a vet, you find him some housing, you get him in the housing, and 6 months later he's back on the street, or she's back on the street, because the basic need to deal with the issues have been met.
Under the Housing Our Heroes umbrella, vets find that services like education and training, treatment for mental health disorders, and rehabilitation are much easier to access, something Beverly Holmes has experienced firsthand.
If you don't have a car or whatever means to get around, you don't have to flip-flop around like a fish out of water to get the help that you need. That cuts down on time that you can get the help and support you need as well.
Art Dubla agrees.
If a veteran in this area is trying to get services, and there are hundreds of agencies around here that give services, how does one go about getting all these services? They're all over town. Some's in Portsmouth, some's in Virginia Beach. Got to go to Hampton. I go back to, it's very difficult for a veteran who doesn't have a car or doesn't have transportation of any kind to get around to get all these services. So one of the ideas we have is to bring the services to the vet. But bring the services and the vet in the same place.
Kim Thomas says the success of the program stretches much further than the agencies and organizations who've signed on to help.
I would actually issue a personal challenge to anyone who has ever passed by a person experiencing homelessness, or to anyone who knows someone who has fought in our military, to make sure we are well aware of what's going on. That sometimes the war doesn't end when the person leaves that battleground. The war starts when they come home.
And I can tell you personally from an old Vietnam-era combat vet, we were treated badly when we got home. And we are determined that it's not going to happen to these kids that come back now.
While Housing Our Heroes is a national initiative, the goal in Norfolk alone is to help 9,000 veterans between now and 2015.
It's a blessing that Norfolk has a vet commission, they have a vet liaison, and they are trying to do things for veterans. So with those kind of help, how can you lose? You can't lose.
For Another View, I'm Lisa Godley.
And if you'd like more information about Housing Our Heroes, please call 757-314-1624. That's 757-314-1624. This project is being spearheaded by Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing, and in full disclosure, I am a commissioner on that board. I also want to bring to your attention for the holidays, there is a group called Pink Carpet Glam Girl, and they are sponsoring Purses with a Purpose. And what they would like to do is give women who are in, and women and girls at the Her Shelter, an opportunity to feel glamorous. So they're asking you to take either new or gently used purses and fill them with things like perfume, body wash, lotion, nail polish, chapsticks, etc. Things that would make a woman really feel great. And there are several locations where you can drop off your bag to make the holidays a special place for women in the shelter. You can call 757-905-PINK, or you can go to pinkcarpetglamgirl.com. So that's 905-PINK or pinkcarpetglamgirl.com. And another reminder that this evening we will be preempting our Season of Giving campaign to air Frontline, The Long Walk of Nelson Mandela, tonight at 9:30 on WHRV 15. So be sure to tune in. We've had a blast spending the past hour with you. We hope you've enjoyed it too. Be sure to go visit our website, anotherviewradio.org, to find the podcast again. Next week, our roundtable pundits will be with us to take their take on current events. Our theme music was composed and performed by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our producer. Victor Bowen is our audio engineer, and Eric Moore answered our phones. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. Have a wonderful weekend, and let's get together again next Friday at noon for Another View.